this lesson, I'm going to show you how to find the GCF, which stands for greatest common factor. You guys might have done this on Alex, so I'm going to remind you how to do it, and I think you learned it in middle school too, so you guys should be good on how to do this. Okay, so basically you're just going to make a list of the numbers that you can divide into the number. So for 5, I can divide 5 by 1, and I can divide 5 by 5. Okay, that's it. 50, I can divide 50 by 1. It's going to be a little longer of a list. 1, I can divide 50 by 2. I can divide 50 by, let's see, not 3. 4, no, I can divide it by 5. Let's see, 6, 7, no, 8, 9, no, 10. I can divide it by 10. Let's see, 25 and 50. So these are my only ones I can divide it by. Now, what's the biggest number that they have in common? The biggest number they have in common is 5. So the GCF is 5. Easy. Okay. How about 40 and 30? Let's make a list again. 40, I can divide by 1. I can divide by 2. I can divide by 4. I can divide by, let's see, 5. Divide by 5. I can divide by 8, 10, 20, and 40. And then for 30, I can divide by 1, I can divide by 2, I can divide by 3, 5, 6, 15, oops, 10, forgot about 10. 10, 15, and 30. Okay, so what's the biggest number they have in common? Sometimes I look at the biggest number, 40, there's no 40 over here. 20, no. 10, okay, looks like 10. 10 is the biggest number they have in common, so GCF is 10. Easy, easy. All right, now look at something like this, 11 and 7. What can I divide with 11? Not much. 1 and 11. What can I divide with 7? 1 and 7. That's it. They don't really have anything in common except for 1. So the GCF is going to be 1. The reason I wanted to show you number 3 is because this will pop up when in our next lesson. So you just want to make sure, you know, if you see something like this, the GCF is 1. So it's okay. You could get that. All right, now we're going to add in variables. All right, we're still finding the GCF, but now we have letters in the mix. So first, you just want to look at what the GCF of 2 and 10 is. You guys should be pretty good with GCF, I'm assuming, because I know you did it in middle school and everything. So we got for 2 and 10, let's see, 2, we got 1 and 2. For 10, we got 1, 2, 5, and 10. The number they have in common is 2, so I'm going to put a 2. Now this one has an X, and this one has 2 X's. So sometimes I like to do this in the list. I'll put an X here, and I'll put 2 X's here, because that 10 has 2. What do they have in common? Well, they have 1 X in common, definitely. But do they have 2 X's in common? No, they don't. They only have 1 X in common. So the GCF is 2X. Okay? So the next one, 7 and 3. Okay? Let's say I don't know. We can make a list. 7 I can only divide by 1 and 7. 3 I can only divide by 1 and 3. The GCF is 1. So I'm just going to write a 1. Now, 7 has an X and a Y, so I'm going to write X, Y. And 3 has just an X. So they have an X in common, for sure. But do they have a Y in common? No, they don't. They only have X in common. Now, you know that we don't write the 1, so we can just delete that 1 there, and our GCF is X. So when you think of GCF, I want you to think, if anyone's taking notes or anything, I want you to write what is in common. What do they have in common? This one, look, they both have 1X, 1X. Here, they both have 1X, X, okay? Here's the last one, 15 and 30. So if I were to draw out my list, 15 and 30, let's see, I'll do that real quick. 15, we got 1, 3, 5, and 15. 30, we got 1, 3, 5, 6, 10, 15, 30. They have in common 15, so that's going to be my number. Now for 15, we have 2 x's and a y. So 2 x's and a y. For 30, we just have an x. So they only have one thing in common. They only have an x in common. So my GCF is just 15x. So what do they have in common? They only have one x in common. That's it. They only have one thing in common. So that's my GCF.